There are moments when your entire world shatters in the space of a single heartbeat, when the future you've planned crumbles like ash between your fingers. Luna Matthews knows this feeling intimately as she stands at the altar in her grandmother's vintage lace dress, 300 guests watching in stunned silence while her fiancé Marcus walks away without looking back. The scent of white roses suffocates her, their perfection mocking the devastation blooming in her chest. 8 weeks pregnant with his child, she feels the weight of his abandonment settling into her bones like winter frost. The church bells that should have celebrated their union now toll like a funeral dirge, each chime driving deeper the truth she refuses to accept. She is utterly, completely alone. Rain pounds against stained glass windows as Luna flees through the side door, her heel catching on wet stone. She falls hard, her wedding dress tearing on the asphalt like her carefully constructed dreams. Through the storm, she glimpses something impossible, a massive black wolf watching from the tree line, its golden eyes holding an intelligence that makes her breath catch and her heart race with recognition she doesn't understand. When she blinks, it vanishes, leaving her to wonder if desperation has finally driven her mad, or if destiny wears fangs. 2 weeks after the wedding that never was, Luna Matthews lives like a ghost haunting her childhood bedroom. Pink walls that once felt cozy now press against her like a coffin, decorated with high school photographs of a girl who believed in happily ever after. Her savings account sits at $37.18, emptied by deposits on flowers that wilted, a cake that fed no one, and a honeymoon suite that went unused. The morning sickness arrives with cruel punctuality at 6:15 each day, reminding her that life grows inside her even as everything else dies around her. Crackers and ginger ale become her only companions while her mother whispers behind closed doors about shame and options and what will people think. Luna knows exactly what people think because she hears it every time she ventures into town. The pitying looks, the hushed conversations that stop when she passes, the way old friends cross the street to avoid her swollen eyes and hollow cheeks. Desperate for income and tired of charity casseroles left on the doorstep, Luna swallows her pride and applies for work at Millie's Diner on Main Street. The owner, a weathered woman with kind eyes and rough hands, takes one look at Luna's designer shoes and perfectly manicured nails before handing her an apron stained with years of honest work. The lunch rush hits like a tidal wave of coffee orders and gossip. Luna's feet ache in shoes designed for wedding photos rather than tile floors, and her hands shake as she balances plates heavy with comfort food she can barely stomach. The familiar faces of her small mountain town blur together in a symphony of sympathy and speculation until she overhears the conversation that changes everything. 3 women from the wealthy side of town lean over their salads, voices lowered but not enough to escape Luna's newfound ability to hear every cruel whisper. They speak of the Blackthorne family, old money wrapped in older secrets, and the heir who has finally returned after years abroad. They describe Kieran Blackthorne with the breathless fascination reserved for dangerous men, painting him as a playboy who collects hearts like trophies and discards them just as easily. Luna dismisses their gossip as small-town entertainment until the diner falls silent. The bell above the door chimes once, soft as a church bell, and every conversation stops mid-sentence. She turns to see what has captured everyone's attention, and her coffee pot slips from nerveless fingers. The man standing in the doorway moves like liquid shadow, 6 feet of dangerous grace contained in perfectly tailored clothes that probably cost more than her monthly rent. His hair is black as midnight, swept back from a face that could have been carved from marble by an artist obsessed with masculine beauty. But it's his eyes that steal her breath, golden and wild and achingly familiar. Those same eyes that watched her from the tree line on the worst day of her life. Coffee pot shatters against the linoleum floor, porcelain shards scattering like her composure, and Luna knows with bone-deep certainty that her quiet life of hiding is about to end. Kieran Blackthorne enters the diner like he owns it, which Luna discovers with sinking dread. He actually does. The revelation comes from Millie herself, who appears at Luna's elbow with a dustpan and the kind of resigned expression that speaks of long familiarity with powerful men making grand entrances. "The Blackthorns bought this place 3 months ago," Millie whispers, her weathered hands steady as she helps Luna sweep up the porcelain disaster. "Along with half the buildings on Main Street. Economic development, they call it." Luna's hands shake as she grips her cleaning rag, watching Kieran move through the suddenly reverent crowd. He doesn't swagger or strut like men who know they're being watched. Instead, he glides with the fluid grace of something wild barely contained in human skin. Every step seems calculated, purposeful, as if he's tracking prey rather than simply choosing a table. The scent hits her when he passes, a wave of pine forests and thunderstorms that makes her knees buckle. It's impossibly clean and masculine, carrying undertones of something darker, wilder, that her human mind can't quite categorize but her body recognizes with primitive certainty. Luna has never believed in pheromones or animal magnetism, but standing in Kieran's orbit makes her feel like a rabbit caught in a predator's gaze. He chooses the corner booth with a view of both entrances, settling into the worn vinyl with casual elegance that makes the shabby surroundings look like a movie set. When he catches her staring, his mouth curves into a smile that's all sharp edges and dangerous promises. "Coffee," he says when she finally works up the courage to approach his table. His voice is velvet over steel, cultured and smooth with just enough roughness to suggest he's capable of far more than polite conversation. "Black. And whatever pie you'd recommend." Luna fumbles with her order pad, acutely aware that every person in the diner is watching their interaction with the fascination usually reserved for car accidents. "The apple is fresh," she manages, proud when her voice doesn't crack. "My grandmother's recipe." Something flickers in those golden eyes at the mention of her grandmother, gone too quickly for Luna to interpret. "Perfect," he murmurs, and the way he says it makes her feel like they're discussing something far more intimate than dessert. When she returns with his order, Kieran studies her with an intensity that makes her skin burn. His gaze catalogues every detail, from her too pale complexion to the way her uniform hangs loose on her shrinking frame. Luna knows she looks terrible, hollowed out by morning sickness and heartbreak, but under his scrutiny she feels exposed in ways that have nothing to do with appearance. "You're new here," he says, though it's not really a question. "I grew up here," Luna corrects, setting down his coffee with hands that tremble slightly. "I just haven't worked at the diner before." "Ah." He takes a sip of coffee, never breaking eye contact. "Circumstances change, don't they? Life has a way of putting us exactly where we need to be, even when it doesn't feel like a blessing." There's something in his tone that suggests he knows far more about her circumstances than a stranger should. Luna's spine stiffens with the first spark of anger she's felt in weeks. "I should get back to work." "Of course." Kieran's smile widens, revealing teeth that seem just slightly too sharp. "But before you go, I have a proposition for you." The word proposition sends heat crawling up Luna's neck. Around them, the diner has grown so quiet she can hear the ancient cash register's mechanical breathing. "I'm in need of a housekeeper," Kieran continues, his voice pitched low enough that she has to lean closer to hear. "Someone trustworthy to maintain my home while I handle business matters." The position comes with full accommodations, health benefits, and a salary of $5,000 per month. Luna's coffee cup slips from her fingers, clattering against the saucer. $5,000 is more than she made in her previous marketing job, more than she's ever earned in her life. It's also exactly the amount she needs to get back on her feet, pay her medical bills, and prepare for the baby. "Why me?" she asks, suspicion warring with desperate hope. Kieran's eyes seem to glow in the diner's fluorescent lighting, and for a moment Luna could swear she sees something inhuman flickering behind his pupils. "Call it intuition," he says. "I have excellent instincts about people." He slides a business card across the table, his fingers brushing hers in the exchange. Contact sends electricity shooting up her arm, making her gasp audibly. Kieran's nostrils flare slightly, and his grip on her hand tightens for just a moment before he releases her. "Think about it," he murmurs, rising from the booth with fluid grace. "But don't think too long. Good opportunities have a way of disappearing if you wait." He leaves exact change plus $100 tip, walking out of the diner without a backward glance. Luna stares at the business card in her trembling hands, at the elegant script that reads Blackthorn Estate with an address high in the mountains above town. Millie appears at her shoulder again, shaking her head with the expression of someone who's seen this movie before. "That family's got more money than God and twice as many secrets," she says quietly. "You sure you want to get mixed up with them?" Luna thinks of her empty bank account, her mounting medical bills, and the growing life inside her that deserves better than a mother who can't provide. She thinks of Marcus, who abandoned her the moment things got difficult, and the golden-eyed stranger who just offered her salvation wrapped in velvet words and dangerous smiles. "I don't think I have a choice," she whispers, and somehow knows that Kieran Blackthorne heard every word. The Blackthorne mansion perches on the edge of the world like a Gothic cathedral carved from living stone. Luna's ancient Honda wheezes up the winding mountain road, each curve revealing more of the imposing structure that will be her new home. Dark granite walls rise 3 stories into the pewter sky, punctuated by tall windows that seem to watch her approach with ancient patience. Gargoyles crouch along the roofline, their stone faces twisted into expressions of eternal vigilance, and Luna shivers despite the car's struggling heater. When she finally reaches the circular drive, Kieran emerges from the massive oak doors as if he's been waiting. He moves down the stone steps with that same predatory grace she remembers from the diner, but here in his natural habitat he seems larger somehow, more dangerous. Perfectly tailored clothes have been replaced by dark jeans and a black sweater that clings to shoulders broad enough to block out the sky. "Welcome home," he says, and the way he emphasizes the word makes Luna's pulse stutter. "This isn't home," she reminds herself. This is employment, temporary sanctuary until she can get back on her feet. But something in his golden gaze suggests he sees things differently. The interior of the mansion takes her breath away. Soaring ceilings disappear into shadow, supported by massive wooden beams that look like they were hewn from primordial forests. A grand staircase curves upward like a frozen waterfall, its banister carved with intricate designs that seem to shift and move in Luna's peripheral vision. Everything is beautiful, expensive, and somehow alive in ways that make her skin prickle with awareness. Kieran shows her through room after room, each more magnificent than the last. The library stretches 2 stories high, filled with leather-bound volumes that smell of age and secrets. Kitchen gleams with modern appliances housed in rustic stone, as if someone built a gourmet restaurant inside a medieval castle. But it's the details that unsettle her. Claw marks scored deep into wooden door frames, silver weapons mounted on walls like artwork, and windows fitted with bars that look designed to keep things in rather than out. "Your quarters," Kieran announces, opening the door to a suite that's larger than Luna's childhood home. The bedroom features a 4-poster bed draped in midnight blue silk, while the sitting room boasts a fireplace big enough to stand in. French doors open onto a private balcony overlooking the valley below, where the lights of town twinkle like fallen stars. "It's beautiful," Luna breathes, running her fingers along furniture that probably costs more than most people's cars. "But I should mention I'm pregnant. I know that wasn't in the job description." Kieran goes very still, his nostrils flaring slightly as if he's scenting the air. "How far along?" His voice carries a roughness that wasn't there before. 10 weeks. Luna lifts her chin, prepared for judgment or dismissal. "If that's a problem, I understand." "It's not a problem." The words come out too quickly, too intense. Kieran's eyes have darkened to amber, and Luna could swear she sees something wild flickering behind them. "The estate is perfectly safe for you and your child. I'll make sure of it." That night, Luna lies in the impossibly soft bed listening to sounds that don't belong in any civilized home. Howling echoes through the mountains, but it's too close, too intelligent to be natural wolves. Footsteps pad through hallways with a rhythm that speaks of something walking on 4 legs rather than 2. When she finally drifts off, her dreams are filled with golden eyes and teeth that gleam like silver knives. She wakes at 3 in the morning to find muddy paw prints outside her French doors, each one the size of her hand. Prints lead along the balcony and disappear over the stone railing, as if whatever left them simply leaped into the void. Luna presses her face to the glass, searching the darkness below, but sees only shadows that might be moving or might be tricks of moonlight. The next morning, the prints are gone, scrubbed clean by rain that never fell. When Luna mentions them to Kieran over breakfast, he simply smiles that dangerous smile and suggests she might have been dreaming. But his eyes hold secrets older than the mountains, and Luna begins to understand that the Blackthorn estate harbors mysteries that daylight cannot dispel. The library becomes her refuge during the long afternoons when Kieran disappears on business she's not allowed to ask about. The books whisper to her of ancient bloodlines and primal magic, of creatures that walk between worlds and bonds that transcend death. Luna tells herself it's all fiction, elaborate fantasy created by minds more imaginative than her own. But when she finds a genealogy tome with her grandmother's maiden name listed among families blessed with wild blood, her certainty begins to crumble. Schneid brings new evidence that her employer is far more than he appears. Her sheets tangle around her as if she's been fighting invisible battles in her sleep. She wakes with scratches on her arms that sting like memories and the taste of pine needles on her tongue. Pregnancy symptoms that plagued her in town fade away, replaced by energy that hums through her veins like electricity. And always, there are those golden eyes watching her from shadows, following her through dreams that feel more real than waking life. The dreams begin on her 5th night at the estate. Vivid journeys through moonlit forests that feel more real than the silk sheets tangled around her sleeping body. Luna runs on 4 legs through ancient pines, her paws silent against carpet of fallen needles. The ground rushes beneath her in a blur of shadow and silver light, and beside her runs a massive black wolf whose presence fills her with a completeness she's never known in waking life. In these dreams, Luna understands the language of wind through branches and the secret conversations of night creatures. Her senses expand beyond human limitations, allowing her to taste emotions on the air and hear heartbeats from impossible distances. The black wolf beside her moves with familiar grace, and when he turns those golden eyes toward her, Luna feels recognition bloom in her chest like wildfire. She wakes each morning with the taste of night air clinging to her tongue and pine sap beneath fingernails that should be clean. Her legs ache as if she's run marathons in her sleep, and scratches appear on her skin in patterns too deliberate to be accidental. The marks sting like memories, fading by afternoon but returning each dawn with renewed intensity. Kieran watches her during these morning encounters with an intensity that makes her skin burn. He appears without warning in doorways and hallways, moving through his ancestral home with the silence of something born to hunt. When Luna accidentally cuts herself preparing breakfast, his reaction is swift and primal. His eyes flash from gold to amber to something wilder, and his hands shake as he tends her wound with gentleness that contradicts the dangerous energy radiating from his skin. "You need to be more careful," he murmurs, his voice rough with barely controlled emotion. "Your safety is more important than you realize." Luna finds herself studying his mouth as he speaks, noting how his canine teeth seem just slightly too sharp, too pronounced for purely human genetics. When she mentions it, Kieran's smile becomes predatory, and he runs his tongue along those suspicious teeth with deliberate provocation. "Excellent dental care," he says, but his eyes hold secrets that make her pulse race with equal parts fear and fascination. The library becomes Luna's sanctuary for answers, though the books she finds raise more questions than they resolve. Ancient pack laws speak of blood bonds that transcend species, of moon-called mates chosen by forces older than human civilization. She reads about the transformation process, about humans who were blessed or cursed depending on perspective with the ability to bridge 2 worlds. One leather-bound tome, its pages yellow with age, describes the physical changes that precede a human's first shift. Enhanced senses, vivid dreams of running wild, an inexplicable connection to lunar cycles. Luna's hands tremble as she reads symptoms that match her own experience with frightening accuracy. According to the text, such changes are impossible unless the human carries dormant shifter genetics or has been claimed by an alpha of extraordinary power. Her grandmother's stories surface unbidden from childhood memories. Tales of mountain folk who could speak to animals, of women who disappeared during full moons and returned with secrets in their eyes. Luna had always dismissed them as folklore, entertainment for winter nights when the wind howled through the valley. But sitting in Kieran's library surrounded by evidence of supernatural truth, She begins to wonder if her grandmother's wild blood was more than metaphor. Pregnancy adds another layer of complexity to her transformation. The morning sickness that plagued her in town has vanished completely, replaced by energy that hums through her veins like electricity. Her appetite has changed too, craving rare meat and foods rich with iron. When she mentions these changes to Kieran, his nostrils flare and his pupils dilate as if he can scent the life growing within her. Pregnancy affects everyone differently, he says, but his voice carries undertones of something deeper. Your body is adapting to support new life. It's natural for things to feel different. That night, Luna's dreams intensify beyond anything she's experienced. She runs through forests that stretch beyond the horizon, her four-legged gait covering miles in minutes. The black wolf beside her nips playfully at her ears, and when she playfully nips back, the taste of his fur fills her mouth with warmth that spreads through her entire body. They hunt together in the dream, bringing down prey with coordinated precision that speaks of perfect partnership. When they feed, Luna feels no revulsion at the raw meat, only satisfaction at sustaining the life within her. The black wolf watches her eat with protective pride, his massive head resting on her flank as she rests. She wakes to find Kieran sitting in the chair beside her bed, his golden eyes reflecting the moonlight streaming through her windows. He's fully dressed, but his hair is disheveled, and mud clings to his boots despite the clear night. "Bad dreams?" he asks, though his tone suggests he knows exactly what she's been experiencing. Luna sits up slowly, acutely aware that her nightgown has twisted around her body and her skin bears fresh scratches that definitely weren't there when she fell asleep. "They don't feel like dreams," she whispers. Kieran rises from his chair with fluid grace, moving to stand beside her bed. His scent wraps around her like a living thing, pine and thunderstorms with undertones of something wild that makes her body respond with embarrassing eagerness. "Maybe they're not," he says, reaching out to trace one of the scratches on her arm with a fingertip that burns like ice. "Maybe they're memories of who you're meant to become." Selena Ravenclaw arrives like winter personified, her silver hair catching moonlight and ice-blue eyes surveying the Blackthorn estate as if cataloging her future inheritance. Luna watches from the kitchen window as a sleek white Range Rover winds up the mountain drive, its headlights cutting through the pre-dawn darkness with surgical precision. Even from a distance, there's something predatory about the vehicle's approach that makes Luna's newly awakened instincts prickle with warning. The woman who emerges moves with the lethal grace of something born to kill. Tall and impossibly elegant, Selena wears her beauty like armor, each perfect feature arranged to devastate and conquer. Her designer coat probably costs more than Luna made in her previous job, and when she removes her sunglasses despite the early hour, those pale eyes sweep the estate with possessive satisfaction. Kieran greets her at the front doors, and Luna feels something twist in her chest as she watches their reunion. They don't embrace, but there's an intimacy in how they stand just slightly too close, how Selena's fingertips graze Kieran's arm with casual ownership. When she speaks, her voice carries the cultured tones of old money and older power, discussing pack politics and territorial disputes as if Luna were invisible. "The council grows impatient," Selena says, her words drifting through the mansion's halls like poisoned honey. "They expect our mating announcement before the winter solstice." Bloodline purity has become more important than ever, especially with the recent incidents on the eastern borders. Luna retreats to the library, but their conversation follows her like smoke. She learns that Selena comes from one of the most powerful shapeshifter families in North America, that their union was arranged when they were children to strengthen territorial alliances and preserve alpha genetics. According to pack law, their engagement is more than romantic commitment, it's a political necessity that could prevent war between rival territories. The dinner that evening becomes an exercise in torture disguised as civility. Luna serves courses prepared by the estate's chef while Selena holds court at the dining table, regaling Kieran with stories of mutual friends and shared history. Her laughter rings like crystal bells, beautiful and cold, and every anecdote emphasizes the life they've built together over decades. "Remember the summer we spent in the Swiss Alps?" Selena asks, her fingers trailing along Kieran's forearm with practiced intimacy. You were so determined to prove you could outrun the avalanche. I told you then that your recklessness would be the death of you. Kieran's smile seems forced, but he doesn't pull away from her touch. Some risks are worth taking, he replies, though his eyes find Luna's across the room with an intensity that makes her breath catch. Selena notices the exchange immediately, her predator's instincts honing in on perceived threats. "And who is this?" she asks, turning those ice-chip eyes toward Luna with calculating interest. "I don't believe we've been introduced." "Luna is the new housekeeper," Kieran explains, his voice carefully neutral. "She's been invaluable in maintaining the estate." The word housekeeper hits Luna like a physical blow, reducing her to furniture in the space of a heartbeat. She's served countless meals to important guests in her previous life, but never has she felt so invisible, so utterly dispensable. Selena's smile sharpens with satisfaction, as if she's scored a point in some game Luna doesn't understand. "How wonderful," Selena purrs. "Good help is so difficult to find these days. I do hope she understands the importance of discretion. Pack business requires absolute privacy." The thread in her words is velvet wrapped around steel, and Luna nods mutely while her newly awakened wolf instincts snarl with frustrated rage. The baby flutters in her womb as if responding to her elevated heart rate, reminding her that she has more than her own pride to protect. That night, Luna lies sleepless in her bed listening to intimate conversation drifting from Kieran's suite down the hall. She can't make out words, but the cadence speaks of familiarity born from years of partnership. When Selena's laughter echoes through the mansion walls, Luna presses her pillow over her head and tries to forget the way Kieran looked at her during dinner, as if he wanted to devour her whole. The dreams that finally claim her are different this time, darker and more violent. She runs through forests painted crimson with moonlight while something pursues her with relentless hunger. The black wolf that usually runs beside her is nowhere to be found, leaving her alone to face whatever horrors lurk in the shadows between trees. She wakes to find her sheets soaked with perspiration and her heart hammering against her ribs like a caged bird. Through her open window comes the sound of voices raised in argument, Kieran and Selena's discussion carrying on the night air with the sharpness of barely controlled fury. "She's human," Selena snarls, her cultured tones replaced by something far more primal. "Whatever hold she has on you, it's temporary. Humans are playthings, not partners." "You know nothing about her," Kieran's voice rumbles with warning that makes Luna's skin prickle with dangerous recognition. "I know enough." Selena's laugh holds no humor. "I can smell her desperation from here, along with something else. Something that threatens everything we've built. The council won't tolerate interference from some pregnant stray you've decided to collect." Luna's blood turns to ice water. Selena knows about the pregnancy, can apparently detect it through supernatural senses that human medical tests couldn't reveal for weeks. But there's something else in her tone, a knowledge that runs deeper than simple observation. The conversation moves inside, leaving Luna to stare at the ceiling while fragments of understanding begin forming a terrible picture. Marcus's sudden abandonment, the timing of Kieran's job offer, the way Selena speaks as if Luna's presence was orchestrated rather than accidental. When morning comes, Luna finds a single white rose on her breakfast tray, its thorns removed and stem wrapped in silver ribbon. The card attached bears only 2 words in Selena's elegant script: "Be careful." The message is crystal clear. Luna has entered a world where pack politics and supernatural law trump human concerns, where her growing connection to Kieran threatens alliances that predate her birth. As she touches her still flat stomach and feels the flutter of new life within, Luna realizes that her baby may be the catalyst for a war she never wanted to fight. But when Kieran appears in the kitchen doorway, his golden eyes holding apologies he can't voice and promises he might not be able to keep, Luna knows she's already chosen her side in whatever battle is coming. The accidents begin small, so subtle that Luna almost convinces herself they're coincidence. Her car brakes squeal on mountain roads that should be perfectly safe, the pedals sinking toward the floor with terrifying softness before catching at the last possible moment. The mechanic in town finds nothing wrong, but his eyes hold the kind of wariness reserved for people who attract trouble they don't understand. Food spoils overnight in the estate's pristine refrigerator, perfectly fresh ingredients turning rancid within speed that defies natural decay. Luna retches over meals that smell like death, her pregnancy-sensitive stomach rejecting anything that passes her lips. When she mentions it to Kieran, he quietly arranges for all their food to be delivered from a different supplier, but his jaw tightens with the kind of controlled fury that speaks of suspicions he can't voice. The shadows begin moving wrong in her peripheral vision, shifting when no wind stirs the curtains and gathering in corners where no darkness should exist. Luna catches glimpses of movement that disappears the moment she turns her head, leaving her to question whether pregnancy hormones have finally driven her toward madness. But the baby responds to these disturbances, fluttering with agitation whenever the wrongness grows too strong. It's Dante Blackthorne who confirms that Luna's fears aren't delusion. Kieran's younger brother arrives without fanfare on a Tuesday morning, sliding from the shadows like he was born to them. Where Kieran radiates controlled power, Dante embodies barely leashed violence, his amber eyes constantly scanning for threats that lesser beings can't perceive. "Protection detail," he announces when Kieran introduces him, though his smile suggests he considers the assignment more pleasure than duty. "Someone's been playing games they shouldn't, and Big Brother thinks you need a babysitter." Luna bristles at the implication until a massive tree branch crashes through the kitchen window minutes later, missing her head by inches. The timing is too perfect, too precise to be natural, and when Dante's eyes flash from amber to burning gold, Luna finally understands that the Blackthorne family harbors secrets that make her pregnancy dreams seem mundane. "Structural damage," Dante growls, examining the fallen branch with predatory intensity. His nostrils flare as he scents the air, and something in his expression turns deadly. Or calculated attempted murder. Hard to tell the difference these days. Pregnancy complications that follow feel like warfare waged against her body. Cramping that doubles her over without warning, bleeding that comes and goes with suspicious timing, fatigue so crushing that Luna can barely function. The local doctor finds nothing wrong, but his puzzled expression speaks volumes about symptoms that don't match any known condition. Kieran hovers like a dangerous shadow, his golden eyes never leaving Luna's face as she struggles through each day. His scent has changed, becoming sharper and more aggressive, as if his wolf has risen closer to the surface. When she stumbles during a particularly vicious cramp, his reflexes move faster than human possibility, catching her before she falls with strength that could crush bones if misdirected. "We need to talk," he says that evening, leading her to his private study where no servants venture. The room smells like him, pine and thunderstorms with undertones of something wilder that makes Luna's transformed senses sing with recognition. "Someone is hunting you," Kieran continues, his voice rough with barely controlled emotion. "Using methods designed to look like accidents or natural complications. They want you gone without leaving evidence that could start a war." Luna sinks into a leather chair that probably costs more than her old car, her hands instinctively protecting the life growing within her. "Who would do this? I'm nobody. I have nothing anyone could want." Kieran's laugh holds no humor. "You have me. Or rather, my wolf has claimed you in ways that threaten alliances older than this country. There are those who would kill to prevent that bond from fully forming." The word claimed sends heat spiraling through Luna's body, awakening responses she doesn't understand but can't deny. Every instinct she's developed since arriving at the estate screams that Kieran speaks truth, that their connection runs deeper than employer and employee, deeper even than the attraction that crackles between them like electricity. "The baby," Luna whispers, her voice breaking on the words. "Are they targeting the baby too?" Kieran's expression goes utterly still, predator evaluating threat levels with mathematical precision. "Tell me about the father." Luna's cheeks burn with shame as she recounts Marcus's abandonment, the timing that now seems too convenient to be coincidence. As she speaks, Kieran's eyes grow darker, more dangerous, until Luna can see something inhuman flickering behind his pupils. "He was paid," Kieran says when she finishes, his voice carrying absolute certainty. bribed, or threatened into leaving you vulnerable. Someone needed you isolated, desperate enough to accept help from strangers. The revelation hits Luna like a physical blow, stealing her breath and leaving her gasping. Her entire world had shattered because someone wanted her alone and frightened, available for whatever game they're playing with her life. But why, she asks, though part of her already knows the answer. Kieran moves to stand behind her chair, his hands settling on her shoulders with possessive gentleness. Because you're not entirely human, he says. And neither is the child you're carrying. Someone very powerful wants to make sure that particular bloodline never reaches maturity. That night, Luna collapses during what should have been a simple trip to the kitchen. The world tilts sideways as agony tears through her abdomen, cramping so severe that she can't breathe. Through the haze of pain, she hears Kieran's roar of rage shake the mansion's foundations, a sound no human throat could produce. When consciousness returns, she's in his arms while he carries her toward the garage, his face a mask of controlled fury that terrifies and comforts in equal measure. "Hospital," he says when she tries to speak. "Now." But as they reach his car, Luna catches a scent that makes her newly awakened wolf instincts snarl with recognition. Selena's perfume lingers in the air like poison, along with something else, something that smells like dark magic and calculated cruelty. The baby flutters weakly in her womb, and Luna realizes with crystal clarity that this attack was never meant to kill her. It was designed to eliminate the life she carries, the child whose very existence threatens the supernatural order that powerful people have spent generations protecting. As Kieran's car tears down the mountain road toward help that may come too late, Luna places her hands on her stomach and makes a promise that echoes in her bones. Whatever forces are trying to destroy her family will learn that pregnant wolves, even newly awakened ones, fight with the fury of creatures who have nothing left to lose. The blood moon rises like a crimson eye watching the Blackthorn estate as the Pack Council convenes for their monthly gathering. Luna huddles in her suite, officially barred from attending but able to hear every raised voice through the mansion's ancient walls. Cramping has subsided after 3 days of bed rest, but the baby's heartbeat remains erratic, a flutter of life that seems to grow weaker with each passing hour. Kieran paces outside her door like a caged predator, his footsteps wearing grooves in the hardwood as alphas from across the territory arrive to demand explanations. Through her window, Luna watches sleek cars discharge powerful figures whose very presence makes the air shimmer with supernatural tension. These are the old families, the bloodlines that have shaped shifter politics for centuries, and their expressions promise judgment without mercy. The formal accusations begin at midnight, voices carrying through the mansion's halls with ceremonial precision. Elder Thorne, the pack's eldest alpha and Kieran's grandfather, speaks with the authority of someone who remembers when these laws were written in blood rather than ink. Kieran Blackthorne stands accused of endangering pack security through inappropriate attachment to a human outsider, the old man intones, his words echoing like a death sentence. Furthermore, he is charged with neglecting his sworn duty to mate with the chosen alpha female, thereby threatening alliances crucial to our territorial survival. Selena's voice rises in response, cold and calculating as winter wind. The human's presence has already resulted in suspicious accidents and territorial instability. Her continued residence at the estate violates every protocol we have established for protecting pack secrets. Luna presses her ear to the door, straining to hear Kieran's defense, but his words are too low to carry. Whatever argument he presents earns only scoffs from the assembled council, their dismissal sharp as breaking glass. "Enough," Elder Thorne commands, and the mansion falls silent with supernatural abruptness. Ancient laws exist for reasons written in the ashes of those who ignored them. The moon-blessed children prophesied in our oldest texts were born to human mothers who carry dormant shifter genetics, offspring capable of bridging worlds but also of destroying the balance we have fought to maintain. Luna's blood turns to ice water as the implications sink in. The baby growing within her womb isn't just Kieran's child, it's something the supernatural world has been both anticipating and fearing for generations. Her hand moves instinctively to her stomach, where the flutter of new life seems to pulse in rhythm with her racing heart. "The prophecies speak of transformation through love," Selena interjects, her tone dripping with calculated disdain. But they also warn of children who could unite pack territories under new leadership, toppling hierarchies that have maintained peace for centuries. Some bridges are too dangerous to build. The debate that follows grows increasingly heated, voices rising in anger as ancient prejudices clash with supernatural law. Luna learns that her grandmother's family name appears in genealogy records dating back 3 centuries, marked with symbols denoting wild blood and moon-touched genetics. The morning sickness that vanished at the estate, the vivid dreams of running on 4 legs, the way her body responds to Kieran's presence, all symptoms of dormant shifter DNA awakening under the influence of an alpha powerful enough to trigger genetic memory. But it's Dante's shouted interruption that changes everything. "She's bleeding," he roars from the hallway, his voice carrying terror that makes Luna's skin crawl with dread. "The scent is everywhere, get the healer now." Luna looks down to find crimson spreading across her nightgown, warm and wet and terrifyingly abundant. The baby's flutter weakens to barely perceptible movement as pain tears through her abdomen like claws. She tries to call out, but her voice emerges as a whimper that no human ears could detect. The bedroom door explodes inward as Kieran arrives, his eyes wild with fury and fear. Behind him crowd the pack council members, their political maneuvering forgotten in the face of immediate crisis. Elder Thorne's ancient face goes pale as he takes in the scene, his nostrils flaring with recognition of scents that spell disaster. "Dark magic," the old alpha whispers, his voice cracking with age and horror. "Someone has cursed the bloodline directly. This is no natural complication." Selena appears in the doorway, her ice blue eyes wide with what might be genuine shock or perfectly performed surprise. "Impossible," she breathes. "Who would dare use forbidden magic against pack law?" But Luna catches the flicker of satisfaction that crosses her face before the mask of concern slides into place. Even through waves of agony, her newly awakened instincts recognize the scent of lies wrapped in expensive perfume. "Save her," Kieran commands, his voice carrying the absolute authority of an alpha whose mate faces death. "Save them both, whatever it costs." Pack Healer, an ancient woman whose wrinkled hands hold power older than civilization, kneels beside Luna's bed with grim determination. "The magic attacking the child is specifically designed to target moon-blessed bloodlines," she says, her weathered fingers tracing symbols in the air above Luna's womb. "Only an alpha's claiming bite can counter this level of dark enchantment." "Then do it," Kieran snarls, moving toward the bed with predatory intent. "Wait." Elder Thorne's command stops him mid-stride. "The law requires pack witness for all claiming ceremonies. If you bite her now before the council, you formally reject your arranged mating and accept all consequences." The silence that follows stretches like a held breath, pregnant with possibilities that could reshape their entire world. Luna feels consciousness slipping away as blood loss weakens her grip on awareness, but she forces her eyes to remain open, focused on Kieran's face as he makes the choice that will define both their futures. "I reject the arranged mating," he declares, his voice carrying to every corner of the mansion. "I claim Luna Matthews as my true mate before gods and wolves, accepting all consequences for choosing love over law." The last thing Luna sees before darkness takes her is Kieran's fangs descending toward her throat, sharp as justice and inevitable as destiny. The claiming bite pierces Luna's throat like liquid fire, Kieran's fangs finding the exact spot where her pulse beats strongest against pale skin. Pain explodes through her nervous system, but beneath the agony flows something else entirely, a connection that snaps into place with the force of destiny finally fulfilled. The mate bond ignites like lightning striking twice in the same place, binding their souls with chains forged from starlight and ancient magic. Luna's back arches off the bed as transformation begins, her human DNA rewriting itself at the cellular level. Every nerve ending screams as dormant shifter genetics awaken after generations of silence, her grandmother's wild blood finally claiming its inheritance. Through the haze of conversion, she feels Kieran's strength pouring into her veins, his alpha power battling the dark magic that seeks to destroy their child. Pack Council watches in stunned silence as Luna's body convulses with changes that should be impossible. Her brown eyes bleed to silver, pupils dilating until they reflect moonlight like mirrors. Claws sprout from fingertips that have never known violence, and when she cries out, the sound carries harmonics no human throat could produce. Elder Thorn steps closer to the bed, his ancient face creased with wonder and terror. "The prophecy," he whispers, his voice barely audible over Luna's labored breathing. "She carries the genetics of the first families, the original bloodlines that founded our territories. Her child will be born with powers that could unite or destroy everything we've built." Selena's mask of concern finally slips completely, revealing the calculating fury beneath her porcelain features. "This is madness," she snarls, ice-blue eyes blazing with supernatural light. "The Council will never accept a newly turned human as Luna's equal. Kieran has doomed us all with his selfish obsession." But Kieran pays no attention to her protests, his focus entirely consumed by the woman writhing in his arms. Luna's transformation is more violent than any he's witnessed, her body fighting the change even as it embraces the power flooding through her veins. Blood seeps from the claiming bite, but it glows with silver luminescence that speaks of magic older than recorded history. "Fight," he commands, his voice carrying the absolute authority of an alpha calling his mate back from the edge of death. "Luna, fight for our child. Fight for us." The baby's heartbeat strengthens as Luna's transformation progresses, the dark magic that sought to end its life no match for the protective power of a true mate bond. Through their newly forged connection, Kieran feels every moment of Luna's agony and triumph, their souls twining together until he can no longer distinguish where he ends and she begins. Luna's scream pierces the night air as her first shift begins, bones elongating and reshaping with wet sounds that make even seasoned pack members flinch. Her silver wolf emerges in a cascade of moonlight and shadow, smaller than Kieran's massive black form but radiating power that makes every alpha in the room acknowledge her as an equal. Transformation completes just as the blood moon reaches its zenith, bathing the bedroom in crimson light that turns Luna's silver coat to burnished copper. She stands on trembling legs, her wolf form magnificent and terrible, amber eyes holding intelligence that spans two worlds. When she looks at Kieran, recognition blazes between them like wildfire, the mate bond singing with completion that echoes through their bones. But the effort of transformation and fighting off the dark magic has cost her dearly. Luna collapses as she shifts back to human form, her newly claimed body unable to sustain the massive energy expenditure. Blood flows freely from the claiming bite, and her breathing grows shallow as shock sets in from changes that would have killed a purely human woman. "She's dying," the pack healer announces, her weathered hands moving over Luna's still form with growing urgency. The transformation was successful, but her body cannot handle the trauma. "We're losing them both." Kieran roars his denial, the sound shaking the mansion's foundations and sending every supernatural creature within miles into submission. "No," he snarls, gathering Luna's limp form against his chest. "I won't lose her. Not now, not ever." The mate bond thrums between them like a living thing, and through its connection Kieran feels Luna's spirit beginning to slip away. But he also senses something else, a reserve of power deep within her newly awakened genetics that even she doesn't know exists. With desperate determination, he pours his own life force through their bond, sharing his alpha strength until their heartbeats synchronize and their breathing matches perfectly. "Together," he whispers against her ear, his voice rough with emotion. "Live for me, Luna. Live for our child. Live because I cannot exist in a world without you." Luna's eyes flutter open, silver irises focusing on his face with effort that speaks of a will stronger than death. "Kieran," she breathes, her voice carrying new harmonics that make every wolf in the room recognize her as their alpha female. The baby's heartbeat pounds strong and steady through the mate bond, no longer threatened by dark magic now that Luna's transformed genetics provide the protection that human DNA could not. Their child will be born into a world forever changed by love that refused to bow to ancient laws, carried by a mother who died and was reborn in the space of a single night. As dawn breaks over the mountains, painting the sky in shades of gold and silver, Kieran holds his mate and unborn child while the Pack Council stands witness to a love that has rewritten the very foundations of their supernatural world. For 7 minutes and 32 seconds, Luna's heart stops beating. Her newly transformed body lies motionless on blood-soaked sheets while the Pack Council watches in horrified silence, their political maneuvering forgotten in the face of supernatural tragedy that threatens to destroy everything they've witnessed. Kieran's roar of anguish shakes the mansion to its foundations, a sound of pure grief that no human throat could produce. He gathers Luna's lifeless form against his chest, her silver hair spilling over his arms like moonlight made tangible. The mate bond that blazed so brilliantly moments before flickers like a candle in hurricane winds, their connection stretching thin as death tries to sever what love has joined. "No," he snarls, his voice breaking on the word. "You don't get to take her. Not now, not after everything we've survived." Pack Healer presses her weathered hands against Luna's still chest, ancient magic flowing through fingertips that have guided countless souls through transformation. "The change was too violent," she whispers, her voice heavy with centuries of loss. Her human genetics couldn't fully integrate with the shifter DNA. Her body is caught between two worlds, unable to exist in either. Dante appears at his brother's side, amber eyes blazing with desperate fury. "There has to be something," he pleads. "Some ritual, some magic that can bring her back." The old texts speak of resurrection through blood bonds. Elder Thorn shakes his ancient head, silver hair gleaming in the dying moonlight. The blood moon is ending. Whatever power might have saved her fades with the night. Some transformations are simply too much for mortal flesh to bear. But Kieran refuses to accept defeat, not when their unborn child's heartbeat still flutters weakly through the mate bond that death has not yet severed. He calls upon every drop of alpha power in his bloodline, reaching through family magic that stretches back to the first wolves who walked between worlds. His howl echoes through dimensions, a plea that transcends physical reality and touches the realm where ancient spirits dwell. The moon goddess answers. She appears as silver light condensing into feminine form, her presence filling the bedroom with power that makes every supernatural creature drop to their knees in reverence. Her face shifts like liquid moonbeams, beautiful and terrible and utterly inhuman, while her voice carries the weight of eternity itself. "Kieran Blackthorn," she speaks, words that ring like temple bells in the sudden silence. "You call upon forces beyond your understanding, demanding resurrection for one whose fate was written in starlight before her birth." "She's my mate," Kieran replies, his voice steady despite tears that track silver down his face. "My soul. If she dies, I die with her. Our child dies with us both. You cannot create a bond this powerful only to destroy it before it can fulfill its purpose." The moon goddess moves to stand beside Luna's still form, translucent fingers tracing the claiming bite that no longer bleeds. "Your mate was never fully human," she reveals, her words reshaping reality with casual divine authority. "The wild blood in her veins carries genetics older than your pack laws, older than your territorial disputes. Her grandmother's people were among the first to bridge the gap between human and wolf, blessed with the ability to transform through love rather than birth." Luna's chest rises with a single, shuddering breath as supernatural truth rewrites her cellular structure. The transformation that killed her human self completes on a level deeper than physical, her dormant shapeshifter DNA finally claiming its full inheritance. When her eyes open, they blaze with silver fire that reflects the moon goddess's own radiance. The bridge child she carries will unite what has been divided, the divine being continues, her gaze moving to Luna's still flat stomach where new life grows stronger by the moment. Born to parents who chose love over law, raised by wolves who understand that strength comes through unity rather than dominance. This child will reshape your world, but only if her parents survive to guide her. Luna's fingers twitch against Kieran's chest, her touch sending electricity through the mate bond that blazes back to full strength. When she speaks, her voice carries harmonics that make every wolf in the room recognize her as something beyond their understanding. "I saw you," she whispers, silver eyes focused on the moon goddess with wonder that transcends fear. "In the space between life and death, you showed me what our daughter will become." The divine figure smiles, expression shifting like phases of the moon across an eternal face. Arya will be born with a crescent birthmark that marks those chosen to lead. She will speak to humans and wolves with equal authority, healing divisions that have festered for generations. But her path will not be easy, and her parents must be strong enough to protect what they have created. As dawn breaks over the mountains, the moon goddess fades like mist before sunrise, leaving behind only the scent of night-blooming jasmine and the absolute certainty that Luna and her child have been blessed by powers that predate civilization itself. Luna sits up slowly, her newly transformed body humming with energy that feels both foreign and perfectly right. The claiming bite on her throat has healed into a silver scar that gleams like jewelry against her pale skin, marking her as Kieran's mate for all the world to see. "I died," she says, the words carrying no fear, only wonder at the journey she's completed. "I felt my human self slip away and something infinitely stronger take its place. This is who I was always meant to become." Kieran pulls her against him with desperate relief, their mate bond singing with completion that echoes through every cell in their bodies. Around them, the Pack Council kneels in acknowledgement of their new alpha female political opposition forgotten in the face of divine intervention that has rewritten all their carefully laid plans. The baby's heartbeat pounds strong and steady through their connection, no longer threatened by dark magic or transformation trauma. Their bridge child grows in a womb blessed by the moon goddess herself, destined to reshape the supernatural world through love that conquered death itself. Luna's transformation sends shockwaves through the supernatural community that ripple far beyond the Blackthorn estate. Word spreads through pack networks like wildfire, carrying news of the human woman who died and was resurrected by divine intervention, who now carries a child prophesied to reshape their world. Within hours, representatives from territories across North America begin converging on the mountain stronghold, their intentions ranging from alliance seeking to outright hostility. The first challenge comes from Selena's family, the Ravenclaw pack, whose silver-haired matriarch arrives with a war party that makes the mountain roads tremble beneath their vehicles. Luna watches from the mansion's tower windows as armed shifters take positions around the estate's perimeter, their hostile scents carried on wind that tastes of violence and wounded pride. "They're calling for blood payment," Kieran explains, his golden eyes dark with fury as he joins Luna at the window. Selena's dishonor demands satisfaction according to the old laws. Her family believes I've humiliated them beyond redemption. Luna's newly awakened senses can taste the aggression rolling off the gathered wolves, but beneath their supernatural rage she detects something else entirely. Fear. These ancient bloodlines are terrified of what her transformation represents, of a future where pack hierarchies might crumble before the unity her daughter is destined to bring. "Let them come," Luna says, her voice carrying harmonics that make nearby wolves instinctively submit. "I'm not the helpless human they're expecting to face." The battle begins at sunset, when the Ravenclaw Alpha issues his formal challenge according to laws written in blood and moonlight. Luna stands beside Kieran in the mansion's great hall, her silver hair gleaming like armor as she faces enemies who see her as an abomination threatening their way of life. But when the first Ravenclaw warrior shifts into his massive gray wolf form and launches himself toward Luna's throat, something unprecedented happens. Her unique gift manifests for the first time, a power that the moon goddess blessed her with during those moments between life and death. Instead of violence meeting violence, Luna's transformed abilities reach into the attacking wolf's mind and touch the man beneath the beast. The gray wolf stops mid-leap, confusion replacing bloodlust as Luna's influence soothes the rage driving his assault. She doesn't control his mind or steal his free will, but rather shows him the emotional pain underlying his aggression. The warriors need to prove his worth to a pack that values strength above all else, his terror of being cast out if he fails to defend their honor. "I see you," Luna whispers, her words carrying across the hall with supernatural clarity. "I understand why you're here, why you feel you have to fight. But this isn't about honor. This is about fear of change." One by one, the Ravenclaw warriors find their killing fury transformed into something else entirely. Luna's gift doesn't eliminate their strength or courage, but helps them recognize the difference between defending their families and perpetuating cycles of violence that serve no one. The gray wolf shifts back to human form, kneeling before Luna with tears streaming down his weathered face. "Forgive me, Alpha," he pleads, using the title that acknowledges her true status within their supernatural hierarchy. "I came here to kill you, but you've shown me truths I was too blinded by tradition to see." The Ravenclaw matriarch herself, a woman whose ice-blue eyes mirror Selena's calculating coldness, steps forward with predatory grace that speaks of centuries spent maintaining power through fear. "Clever tricks," she sneers, silver claws extending from fingertips designed for killing. "But parlor magic won't save you from justice earned through blood." The older woman's assault is vicious and calculated, driven by decades of combat experience that Luna's transformation cannot match. Silver claws rake across Luna's ribs, drawing blood that gleams with moonlight as it falls to the ancient stone floor. But as pain blooms through her body, Luna's gift deepens, reaching past the matriarch's armor of cruelty to the woman beneath. What she finds there breaks her heart with its familiar anguish. Loss. Betrayal. The devastating discovery that her own daughter Selena has been using dark magic to manipulate pack politics, that the family's honor has been built on lies and forbidden enchantments. "Selena summoned the magic that nearly killed my baby," Luna says, her words cutting through the hall's tension like blade through silk. "She paid practitioners of the old darkness to curse my bloodline, hoping to eliminate the threat I represented to her arranged marriage. Your daughter has violated every law our people hold sacred." The revelation shatters the matriarch's composure like glass meeting stone. Her silver eyes fill with horror as Luna's gift allows her to feel the truth resonating through supernatural bonds that cannot be faked. The realization that she has raised a daughter capable of murdering unborn children for political advantage transforms her rage into grief so profound it echoes through every wolf present. "Impossible," she whispers, but her voice carries no conviction. "Selena would never, she couldn't." Luna extends her hand toward the broken woman, offering compassion instead of conquest. "She's not evil," she says gently. "She's desperate and afraid, willing to do terrible things to protect the only life she's ever known. But that doesn't make her actions right." The battle ends not with bloodshed but with understanding, as Luna's unique abilities transform enemies into allies through the radical act of truly seeing their pain. The Ravenclaw warriors who came to kill her instead pledged their loyalty to the alpha female who showed them mercy when they deserved only justice. Word of Luna's gift spreads through supernatural networks with the speed of wildfire, drawing delegations from packs that have feuded for generations. They come seeking the bridge builder their prophecies promised, the woman who can heal divisions that have festered since the first wolves claimed territory through violence. But not all visitors come in peace. As autumn deepens into winter, Luna's pregnancy advancing toward its destined conclusion, darker forces begin gathering in the shadows beyond the Blackthorn estate. Ancient enemies of the Shifter Nation see her bridge child as a threat to plans centuries in the making, while corrupted pack leaders recognize that unity among their people would end the profitable conflicts they've spent lifetimes nurturing. The final confrontation approaches like storm clouds gathering on the horizon, promising a test that will determine whether love truly can conquer the darkness that seeks to destroy everything Luna and Kieran have built together. 5 years later, Luna stands on the mansion's stone terrace watching her daughter Arya play in the meadow below, silver hair catching sunlight like spun moonbeams. The little girl moves with grace that speaks of dual heritage, equally comfortable running on 2 legs or 4, her laughter echoing off granite peaks that have witnessed the transformation of their entire world. The mountain territory thrives under leadership that values compassion alongside strength. Pack delegations arrive weekly seeking guidance from the alpha female who can heal centuries-old feuds through the simple act of truly seeing her enemy's pain. Luna's gift has grown stronger with time, allowing her to bridge not just supernatural conflicts but the growing tensions between the hidden shifter world and encroaching human development. Kieran emerges from the forest in wolf form, his massive black shape moving through shadows with familiar predatory grace. The sight of him still makes Luna's breath catch, mate bond humming with completion that defies the passage of time. When he shifts back to human form and gathers both his girls into arms that could crush stone, Luna feels the rightness of their unconventional family settling into her bones like benediction. The wedding dress that once represented her ultimate humiliation now hangs transformed in their bedroom closet, its silk and lace repurposed into christening gowns for pack children Luna has helped deliver. What began as abandonment and betrayal has become the foundation for a legacy that reshapes their world through love that conquered death itself, proving that sometimes our greatest disasters become doorways to destinies we never dared imagine.